Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View.
Good Sunday morning, everybody, and welcome to Capitol View. I'm Bob Clausen. More than a year after the riots at the U.S. Capitol, the committee tasked with investigating what happened, holding its first public hearings on the matter, revealing never-before-seen video of the attack, and laying out thousands of pages of evidence. We're starting off this morning with Washington correspondent Jesse Turner, also the former host of Capitol View. Jess, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me back, Bob. Always appreciate that.
We appreciate your time, Jess. I know you're extremely busy up there. And, of course, the January 6 hearings held at the end of the week. What was the outset? What was the plan? Was it to unveil unseen things? Was it to get the American people up to speed on what has been learned?
Yeah, that's exactly what they were trying to do in this really kind of made-for-TV moment. And even though Republicans were even saying during and after that nothing new came out of the hearings, Democrats and many others watching would have to argue against that. One of the main things that people took away was the fact that those closest to President Trump not only said that the election wasn't stolen, but that they had tried to get that point across to him many times, and he wouldn't take it. We heard that from Attorney General Bill Barr saying that he had conveyed those concerns to President Trump, and then Ivanka Trump, the president's own daughter, said that she respects Attorney General Barr, and so she essentially went along with what he said and believed that. Some other key takeaways were even GOP House members who are currently members of Congress were asking President Trump, then President Trump, for presidential pardons because of their role in trying to overturn the election. Other things of note were that some of these extremist groups, like the Proud Boys, they were even making their way to the U.S. Capitol before President Trump even kind of gave that now infamous order that Democrats continue to point to as well. And so while there was a lot of things that have kind of been known essentially since the attack on the U.S. Capitol and in the months to follow, the way that Democrats and Republicans on the committee were able to piece it together is kind of this chunk of evidence and try to sell it to the American people is something that they're hoping that people remember and potentially even change minds as well.
Do you see, you know, in the day removed from the hearing, do you see any Republicans swaying their point of view or their opinion, or at least softening from their hardline stance, kind of saying maybe there are some things here we need to take a closer look at?
It doesn't seem like that, at least publicly, from what we've been hearing from Republicans and what we've been able to glean since just on Thursday night. But moving forward, it will be interesting to see if any do potentially change their narrative. It's not looking likely since we're in a very tough election year, especially when particularly control of the House is up for grabs and likely to go to Republicans. But really an interesting line of attack, though, if you kind of read between the lines here. A lot of people are saying in Washington, Democrats and Republicans, that, you know, watch what they say. They can't essentially attack what's been shown in this never-before-seen video or testimony from some of those closest to President Trump because it's right there. It's not somebody it's not a Democrat saying, you know, oh, this is what they said. The person is actually saying it. The video is actually playing out. But Republicans continue the line of attack saying, oh, you know, why wasn't there a primetime address for other important things affecting the American people? Inflation, gas prices, things of that nature. And so that seems to be the narrative that they're going to follow.
This isn't the only hearing that's going to be publicly televised. We've got, I think, 3 more that are slated, and those will be daytime later on this summer. What's the plan for the committee at that point?
Yeah, the next one will just be tomorrow on Monday morning kicking off, and that one, from what we've been able to hear from the committee, will focus largely on the fact that they say that they have evidence that President Trump and his closest advisors knew that the election was not stolen, yet they continued to push forward that rhetoric. And like I said, we heard a little bit about that with Attorney General Barr and Ivanka Trump, but the hearing on Monday will be solely focused on that. And then others will continue to play out where they essentially break down this, what they call President Trump's 7-point plan that really started with him losing the election, and then what played out eventually at the Capitol on January 6th, and then what has happened since then, and then why they also believe that democracy is very much still at risk.
You know, Jess, you got to think too, and maybe from a journalist standpoint, and also just kind of a broadcaster standpoint, and a consumer of news out there, that, you know, the American people have gone through so many hearings on Capitol Hill about various things that have gone one way or the other. Is there any concern that there's kind of going to be a malaise out there for people to go, here we go, another hearing about something we've heard about and talked about, and now we've got to sit through this again? Is that kind of a hurdle that this committee has got to get over? Try to keep the attention of the American people?
That's definitely essentially their main concern moving forward, and I think that that's why they even brought in, you know, a former head of a, you know, major network to help them kind of produce up a lot of this to make it easily digestible, at least as easy as possible for the American people, to try to say that, you know, this is something that you should continue to care about, and here's even some new tidbits, here's new information, here's new video to kind of try to explain things. But yeah, a lot of them will tell you, though, that it's difficult to try to get a lot of these people who still believe that the election was stolen to change their minds, because even if you have the, you know, former first daughter or, you know, former attorney general saying that President Trump knew these things and was well aware of them, if President Trump's not saying it himself, then, you know, are their minds going to be changed?
We'll kind of bring this back home to Arkansas. A couple of Arkansans were involved in the riot on January 6th, about a year and a half ago. One of the most notable, a man that you see in this picture right here, who was in Nancy Pelosi's office. This almost has become the, for lack of better terms, the poster boy of what happened that day. I have to admit that, or have to think that there's a lot of people who are keeping up to date with the progress of the cases against all the folks. Will those continue to be going on, and will those be part of the hearings?
It sounds like it will be, and that's what the committee continues to stress, is that, you know, while they're presenting all of this information, their investigation is ongoing. The Department of Justice investigation is still ongoing. There's now been more than 840 arrests tied directly to the attack on the Capitol, and people here in Washington are obviously promising even more. And so while that continues to unfold, we'll also be continuing to monitor one little kind of tidbit that we'll be watching for, which Chair Benny Thompson alluded to last night, was really tying this connection between the extremist groups like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers to those close to President Trump, or even President Trump himself, that there was conversations actually had. Thompson did tease that there was potential evidence that will be coming out to show that those in former President Trump's orbit were having those conversations, and so we'll be continuing to keep an eye out for things like that as well.
Well, here we are, more than a year away, and still more to watch and more to come. Jess, thanks very much for your time this morning. Always great to talk with you.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
All right, have a great week, and obviously you'll be very busy. Keep us updated. You're watching Capitol View on this Sunday morning.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back, everybody. Some state lawmakers are putting their focus on tax deductions for Arkansans. It's a new bill in the works concerning income tax deductions and expensing of property. To lawmakers pushing that legislation, State Senator Ben Gilmore, State Representative Howard Beatty joining us this morning. Guys, thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate your time. Now, before anyone sits here and says tax deductions and tax law and things like that, hold on, because this is something important that you guys are working on, essentially trying to change Arkansas law so it no longer mirrors federal law when it comes to deductions for businesses and things like that. How is this going to work?
Well, almost what you said. It actually will mirror somewhat of the federal law in one sense, but close. Look, it's no secret. Arkansans are hurting. Businesses are hurting. Inflation's a big issue, right? And so what are some ways on the state level that we can give some relief? And that's what we're looking at with bills like this, to basically allow for businesses to take, instead of taking depreciation for a large item up to $1 million over 4 years, it would be able to take it that first year. And so that's going to be a huge impact for small, medium businesses, even some large businesses, you know, the local business, you know, on Main Street that's going to feel the real impacts of this law.
And for a business, Howard, that say they have large expenditures, like if they're going to invest in a piece of equipment, whether it may be a farmer or a trucking company, something like that, this is a deduction they can take right away.
It is. It'll allow them to reduce really the cost of capital for that asset, so that they're break even and they make a better return on that asset. Arkansas is a non-conforming state, so back when the Tax Cut and Jobs Act that Trump signed in 2017 became law, Arkansas is still operating in like 2009. So that limit under the Tax Cut Act was $1 million. Up to $1 million for the depreciation, and the 2009 limit was $25,000.
Yep.
So quite a disparity between those numbers.
And to point out, you could argue that we're a dark spot on the map when you look at other states around us that have already done what we're trying to do.
Okay.
So we need to come up to standards what our competing states are doing, because at the end of the day, we are competing with other states. We're competing globally, and when we're trying to recruit jobs and business to this state, we've got to fix things like this. And you've looked at the bill. It's a pretty simple bill, right? It's less than one page. Yeah.
It's less than 75 words.
Yeah. When does that happen?
I mean,
talk about deductions, reductions.
Yeah.
And going from 25,000 to $1 million.
What size of business? I mean, this is not just going to help large businesses, but also smaller operators with not a large number of employees.
That's right. I mean, look, this is going to help small farms. As you know, that farmers are always buying equipment. There's trucks to haul grain. There's trucks to haul seed. Our loggers are going to feel the impact. And, you know, in southeast Arkansas, the two major industries in the economy there is logging and forestry and row crop farming. So they're going to feel real impacts of this law. And then, like I said, the small, medium businesses, you know, the local-owned mom-and-pop store, boutique in you know, downtown Main Street is going to feel the impacts of this. And that's huge, because these are the folks that need the relief so much right now with rising cost of everything that they're purchasing.
Will this also give a business owner like that the opportunity to say, you know what, because if I don't have to plan out this budget for 4 years, I'll get the relief right away. I can better the prices to the consumer.
Well, it'll help all the way around. It'll help with the consumer pricing side. It will just help them manage to the bottom line on their business and take full advantage of basically what businesses in surrounding states are already taking advantage of.
We can sit here and talk about this all morning long, but this certainly has to move first up to the state capitol and then to the governor.
Right.
Hopes for a special session?
Yeah, I think we're going to see, look, it's up to the governor at the end of the day, but I think we're going to see a special session this summer. And I think this will be one of the items on the call. We've had some very good discussions with the governor and leadership in both chambers. And so I think everyone understands the importance of this bill and what it means to Arkansans and what it means to small businesses. And so I think at the end of the day, we have the opportunity to act now. We have a surplus of revenue in the state, and so it just makes sense before we kick the can down the road any longer that we go ahead and update this code section to Howard's point. It's been, I think, 2009 since we've seen any updates to that section. So I think the appetite is there in the legislature to act on this.
There's no free money. This is going to cost the state.
Well, it's not really going to cost the state. There will be an impact on the initial end, but these were deductions that Arkansas businesses could already take up to $200,000, but they had to space it out over years, over 4 years, and space that out. So this is going to expand that opportunity for businesses. It's no longer going to be an economic disadvantage for all business, even the sole proprietor. If you have equipment and you take depreciation on that equipment, it's going to help everyone.
Any anticipated pushback?
Well, I think you always have to assume there's going to be something somewhere, but when you have folks like the state chamber that are for this because they understand how it's going to help businesses, there was a letter that was circulated that had, I would say, probably, 8 or so different agriculture industry sectors represented that are all pushing for this. Trucking Association is pushing for this because, again, it is it's wide-reaching in who it helps, right? And so I would say, yeah, there may be some pushback, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of support.
There's a lot of push for it.
Right. Exactly.
And hopefully in the special session, we'll see this thing happen.
Hope so.
Keep us updated. Guys, thanks very much for joining us Sunday morning.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time. You're watching Capitol View.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back, everybody. The Arkansas School Safety Commission is back at work following a deadly school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. The commission planning to meet this week to decide on more recommendations ahead of possible special session for lawmakers this summer, as we just talked about. Commission leaders meeting with legislators at the state capitol last week to discuss its 30 recommendations made 4 years ago, that following the Parkland, Florida school shooting. Dr. Nikki Edge of UAMS, they started the training program last year to help students deal with traumatic experiences just like this.
The result is that children with experiences of trauma are more likely to repeat a grade, drop out of school, or be suspended or expelled for behavior-related challenges that are often associated with traumatic stress.
During the hearing, commission leaders said more than 600 school resource officers and school counselors have been trained by the Arkansas Center for School Safety, and 2,500 educators, counselors and community members have been receiving mental health training as well. Governor Hutchinson is calling for more money to help with school safety. He was in Rogers speaking with the Arkansas Sheriff's Association. Macy Davis has more on some of the pressing issues facing law enforcement in our state.
Governor Asa Hutchinson says he's hoping the state will be able to provide money to help secure schools, and not just because of the recent mass shooting at a Texas elementary school.
People need to understand that we're not just talking about school safety after the shooting in Uvalde. We've been working on this before 2018.
The governor says if the state legislature meets for a special session, he hopes that they'll discuss funding to support school safety. He says that investment into schools would cost about $50 million.
All of this costs money, and we need to look at ways as a state that we can support our school districts to a greater extent in school safety.
That money would go towards things like improving the physical structure of the schools and evaluating school resource officer presence. The governor also wants to relieve county jails of some pressure that they're facing when it comes to capacity.
We're looking at a new prison facility in Calico Rock. But that will relieve some of the backlog here in the jails in Washington County and Benton County.
It could take up to 2 years for this jail to open up, and Sheriff Helder says while there are efforts being made to expand jail capacity in the state, more may need to be done.
Our numbers don't go backwards. They're steadily increasing.
The governor also announced a $10 million grant program for local law enforcement agencies to fund things like body cameras, protective vests, and other necessary equipment. It'll be available starting sometime next month. Gun violence victims calling on lawmakers to make changes to the nation's gun laws. Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson has more on the emotional hearings taking place up on Capitol Hill.
Wednesday, the House passed several new gun measures. One of them would raise the minimum age to purchase a semi-automatic rifle from 18 to 21.
Today's package is just one step in the House's relentless fight to stop the bloodshed.
Although 10 Republicans voted for the legislation, Texas Congressman Chip Roy says the bills go too far.
Democrats in this body are willing to take away citizens' God-given right, yes, God-given right.
The testimony of 11-year-old Mia Cerrillo brought lawmakers to tears Wednesday.
I thought he was going to come back to the room, so I grabbed the blood and put it all over me.
Felix and Kimberly Rubio lost their daughter Lexi in the shooting.
I left my daughter at that school, and that decision will haunt me for the rest of my life.
Now they want lawmakers to ban assault rifles and high-capacity magazines.
We don't want you to think of Lexi as just a number.
That message was echoed by Zanetta Everhart, whose son was shot multiple times at the Top supermarket in Buffalo.
As I clean his wounds, I can feel pieces of that bullet in his back. Shrapnel will be left inside of his body for the rest of his life. This should not be your story or mine.
The end of federal waiver could mean the end of free summer lunches for some schools in the state. As part of the USDA's seamless summer option, the waiver helps reimburse schools for free meals they provide. Supply chain issues are stopping some Arkansas schools from having all the requirements, keeping them from the reimbursements, which is a problem that could continue into the next school year.
Even
even those families that wouldn't normally qualify for this program are struggling. And this provides, we can provide 2 meals a day for them.
Now, once the fund ends, 55% of kids who qualify for free or reduced lunch programs won't have access to meals unless they go to school to pick them up themselves. The Biden administration announced it's diverting $10 billion in existing COVID relief funds to buy new vaccines for the fall. The move was made after Congress didn't approve funding. But even with the redirected funds, the U.S. still won't have enough money to purchase vaccines for every American who wants one come the fall. The national average for a gallon of unleaded gasoline getting to a very unwelcome milestone, $5 a gallon, something unheard of years ago. Here in Arkansas, the averaging around $4.50. The continued record highs come as inflation reaches a 40-year high. Blaine Alexander has more on what's contributing to these sky-high prices.
Well, the latest inflation numbers are out, and it is not good news. Inflation is up 8.6% year over year for the month of May. That's an increase. That's the highest number that we've seen in more than 40 years. And it's hitting items across the board. We're talking, of course, about food, airfare, the price of new cars, and, of course, gas prices, something that so many people are watching so very closely. Now, experts say that the average American family is already paying about $450 more per month for just average goods and services. That's compared to numbers last year. It's something that's becoming a growing political problem for the Biden administration, and for so many people it's even worse because economists had predicted that inflation was going to remain stable for the month of April, that it had peaked in April and that it would either remain steady or actually go down. That is clearly not the case. So politically, it's something that the Biden administration is having to push back against as millions of Americans are struggling to keep up with no relief in sight. In Atlanta, I'm Blaine Alexander, NBC News.
Stick around. You're watching Capitol View on this Sunday morning.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Well, as usual, certainly want to thank you very much for your time on this Sunday morning. Certainly hope you have a great rest of your day. It's going to be a warm one. That one just in from Chief Keith. Certainly for a great rest of your week, and everyone, you can join us next week right here on Capitol View.
Being helpful is what Arvest Bank is all